That's what happened last time. All right, coolness. All right. Gentlemen, my text said it would be a lecture.
She did get
Mm-hmm. Yep, because I couldn't be here on Tuesday. All right. So, diction, tone, mood, syntax. If we look at our solar board and we look at the objective for today, especially if you're writing your Cornell notes, for those of you who are an avid and or find Cornell notes more convenient, okay, you're going to be able to use tone, diction, and syntax to analyze our learning target. If we look at our learning target from now until March, end of February, beginning of March, we're going to be doing rhetorical analysis in preparation for question 3. We're going to be, question 2. So, argument, evidence from your brain is question 3. That's what we've been doing the last couple of months. Now we're moving on to question 2, which is analysis, which means you get our evidence from the text you're reading. Also means you need to learn to analyze a text instead of summarize a text, okay? I don't want you to tell me what they're saying. I want you to tell me how they say it. That's very important. I don't want you to tell me what they said. I want you to tell me how they said it and why they chose to say it that way. For example, we want to look at diction and syntax. If I would like you to take out a book, I could say, would you take out your book? Could you take out your book, please? Hey, where's your book? All of those get to the same purpose. I would like you to have your book out. But the diction, the syntax, and the tone matter because they determine how you will react. Hey, where's your book? That probably won't get a book out. Hey, where's your book at? It probably won't get a book out, and it'll probably start an argument. But could everyone please get out their books? Somewhere in between, right? Has a good syntax, strong enough for you to do it, but nice enough that you'll probably comply. So that's what we want to look at. What they're saying and why they choose to say it that way. Not just tell me what the message is, but why is that the best way or the worst way to deliver that message, okay? Cookie. So remember, the most important things are the things that come from my mouth, not the things that come from the projector. Remember, I told you I would go over multiple types of lecture. Me lecturing with no board, me lecturing with just a board, me lecturing with the projector. I want you to learn to take notes in all types of environments. So, at the heart of any discussion about style is word choice, figurative language, and the sound of sentence. Above and beyond grammar, it creates the tone of the text. So sometimes you will read things and they will sound very conversational, okay? They'll sound like somebody's just talking to you. Other times you read things and it sounds like a textbook. It sounds like it was written by 14 people in a room. All of that is because of the diction and word choice. So diction is word choice. And the syntax, or the way the words are set up, the way the sentences are set up. We're going to go over this. It's going to be 30 seconds. Remember what tone is? Tone is the way the author feels about the text or the topic. Tone is how I feel. Mood, it's the attitude the speaker wants you to have. Okay? So always think back to either an argument between you and your mother or an argument between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. If your mother says, "How could you do this to me?" and they're very sad and disappointed, they don't want you to feel disappointed too. They want you to feel ashamed. I feel disappointed. You feel ashamed. Tone is disappointed, but the mood is shame. Okay, I don't want us both to be disappointed. I'm disappointed in you too. What? It's not a good way to end an argument with your mom. Okay? boyfriend cheats on a girlfriend or girlfriend cheats on a boyfriend, the girlfriend or boyfriend is hurt. But they want the receiver to feel ashamed or at least remorseful. Not, well, I mean, you was wearing a short skirt the other day. What'd you expect me to do? What? No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. You cheated on me. Well, you went to the mall with your friends. Not how this works, okay? I am upset that you cheated. You should feel remorseful or get a new girlfriend. Okay. Diction. This, and this are important to write. This, and this are important to understand, but not necessarily write. Okay? So you should write your own definitions. This is a leveling, fine writing, unnecessarily formal or pretentious form of diction. Also, really good for old documents. So fine writing, when you think fine writing, you're thinking Magna Carta, Constitution, Federalist Papers, common sense, all that stuff, okay? That's more so what you're thinking. Formal writing, okay? This is where we want to live. You want to live in formal writing. Formal writing is where you sound academic. Yes. It's a faux hawk.
It's okay, it's still a faux.
Hawk.
What if Falcon tell me what you're talking
Wow.
I know, right? Because our pictures don't have people. Oh, never mind. I don't even record it. I didn't actually say anything. Almost got caught though. Okay. So. Done. Informal language, everyday conversation, may include a few colloquialisms and slang. This is how we speak to one another. Not how you speak to each other, but how we speak to one another. So it's that bridge between speaking too formally and speaking way too informally. This is what you think of when you think of speaking to an adult or speaking to your mother. You don't have to sound like a textbook when you speak to your mother, but for most of us, you may be like, hey dude, what's up? Like, yeah, it's not a thing. Like my son calls his father bro. My son tried to call me bro once. There was less of my son. All right. Just kidding. All right. Slang. Lively, colorful language that is often limited to certain groups, social groups, regions, passes out of fashion. So slang is interesting because slang isn't universal. Although you think slang may be universal, it's not. Okay? I'm from the South. So there's a lot of slang and idioms that I might use that I don't use in my classroom here. When I spoke in Texas, it was very different than when I speak here because most of our slang and idioms, you'll go, So, best example, the idiom, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, right? It means probably. All of that means probably. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. So it means God willing and the creek doesn't rise. So once my ninth graders had a very big project to do. And then there was a flood. And we were stuck in our homes for 5 days. School was closed. And we lost 2 schools in the district. And many of my kids became homeless. It's a thing. It happens in Texas all the time. We're used to it. So, multiples of my kids brought in their homework and were like, I'm sorry, it's done as well as I could. I grabbed it before I left. I was like, you grabbed your poster board and not your TV. That is dedication. But I just want to make sure you're alive. But it was due Friday, and today is Friday. I was like, right, but we haven't been in school for a week. Like, I don't expect it. It said, well, you said, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. It flooded, but the creek didn't rise. And so we all laughed. For you, that joke wouldn't have really been funny because you don't understand. So the reason why we say, and the creek don't rise, we have creeks, and the creeks control the flood water. A flood gets really bad when the creeks rise because then there's nothing to hold any of the flood back. Otherwise known as Hurricane Katrina. Right. So that literally the creek rose. That's what it looks like when a creek rises. So we all understand that. And as I had to give a 2-minute explanation of a joke here, I wouldn't use that saying because it requires a 2-minute explanation. In Texas, I could say it, keep pushing, and it took 3 seconds. And that's how slang works. Which is why we don't say lit to certain people because they think you're starting a fire. Okay. This is a chart. It will be available online. Please don't waste our time copying. You are not named Xerox. So the levels, Xerox. It's a machine that copies. Sophisticated, formal, informal, colloquial, under-colloquial is slang and cliche or idioms, okay? I will be providing you with that chart. It just gives you an idea of what goes in each category. Very soon you should learn to know it and love it. All right. Connotation and denotation. This is another thing you should have learned in 9th and 10th grade. We're going to review it if you haven't. Denotation is what the word means. Connotation is what it means in context. What it suggests. Okay?
What do you mean by the word suggest?
So, ignorant. Denotative meaning. Connotative meaning. Dumb is the connotative meaning. Ignorant is what you are about lacking knowledge. That's the connotative. So if I were to call you ignorant within the context of what we're doing right now, it'd be perfectly fine because you are. However, some people would take offense because of the connotation of that word, meaning stupid, dumb, ill-educated, classless. But those are all connotations.
So ignorant, so dumb will be wait, why? So what is
the denotation is lacking knowledge, period.
Okay.
So, like, I am ignorant. I do not understand astrophysics in the way that, say, Neil deGrasse Tyson does. That's ignorance. That's literal, like, I don't get it. By the way, I'm going to remain ignorant because I'm never going to understand theoretical physics. That's denotation. D, dictionary. C, common. Denotation is dictionary. Connotation is conversation. Denotative is dictionary. Connotative is common. It's casual. It's conversation. Okay?
Somebody thinks
It doesn't only have to be think. It could be what has become the pervasive meaning of it. Another word. Kid. What's the denotative meaning of kid?
baby
Child.
Baby go.
Oh, denotative.
Child is connotative. None of you are actually kids. You might chew paper, but none of you are kids. Okay? Kids are goats. All day, every day, twice on Sundays, kids are goats. Okay? However, connotatively, in America, we call our students and our young children kids. It's fine connotatively. In a paper, you do not want to write about how kids these days use phones because it means a baby goat is pawing at an iPhone. And it's really hilarious to think about, but it's really bad to do in a paper. Does that make sense? In papers, we want to stick to denotative. When we're writing, we want to stick to denotative, not connotative. Concrete and abstract, okay? When you're looking at someone's diction, when you're reading analysis for diction, you want to notice their use of concrete or abstract words. Some of you deal much better in the concrete. Touch, feel, taste, right here, right now. Some of you deal much better in the abstract. Thoughts, theories, minds, feelings, things of that nature. Okay? When you think concrete, you think an actual cat. When you think abstract, you think he moved as if he was a cat. The guy wasn't a cat. It's just a simile that's abstract. Okay? Concrete is what exists in the world physically. Abstract is what exists in your mind. Another way to think of it is concrete is provable. Abstract is much harder to prove. That one, those two we have to do on their own. That we have to do a whole lesson on. All right. Another thing we think about when we think about diction, figurative language. Fair warning. Definitely not going through figurative language. Simile, metaphor, onomatopoeia, alliteration, so on and so forth. Not going through it. Definitely should have been learning that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade. That will be my lunchtime sessions for next week. So, Tuesday through Friday of next week, guaranteed, I will be here at lunch teaching different types of figurative language, irony, paradox, and all those things. So that will be my lunchtime sessions for next week. There will be formal tutoring and lessons, but I'm not going back over that in AP class. It's unfair to people whose teachers taught. All right. Speeches and idioms. Again, this will be going over next week in lunchtime tutoring. If you'd like to come, I will send out a schedule of what I'm going over which lunchtime. Okay? Coolness. Syntax. It's my favorite. Everybody else hates it. Okay. Syntax defines style through a variety of sentences. My hope is that you are my best group for syntax, which, by the way, you can totally flip to the syntax section and start writing notes on the side there. There's like space at the top, there's some space on the side, and there's space at the bottom, okay? So these are all syntaxy. I got 3 minutes. All right. So, and she took 5 of my 3. So, syntax. It is the type of sentences used and the type of punctuation used. Type of sentences. So, we know at least 4 types of sentences. What are they? Oh, 5. I forgot I taught you that one. So, periodic, compound, complex, compound, and simple. So we know at least 5 types of sentences. We're going to learn 10. We know at least 5. Okay? Huh? We're halfway done. So there are 10 types of sentences. We've already learned 5. When you're looking at syntax, you're literally identifying the types of sentences. That's it. You don't care about the words used. It could literally say, for example, if it said blah, 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 comma, and blah, 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 period. What type of sentence is that?
Compound.
Just compound. Now, if I said, even though blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 comma, but blah, 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 period. Compound, complex. And when you're looking at syntax, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for your conjunctions, and you're looking for your punctuation. The words don't matter. In syntax, the words don't matter. In syntax, the words don't matter. Just the parts of speech, punctuation used. That's it. The actual words, what they mean, don't matter. That's diction. Syntax could be a string of words that make absolutely no sense. But wow, it's a periodic sentence. Because if you had blah, blee, 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 semicolon, blah, blee, 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 semicolon. Blah, blee, 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 semicolon. Blah, blah, blee. Periodic sentence. Doesn't matter what the words are. Doesn't matter. We don't care. It's a periodic sentence. Does that make sense? The words don't matter. That's what you need to understand. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. I've been through this. I think I'm a better teacher than I am. Okay. There we are. No, really, I've been through all that. You guys don't need it. Okay. So, things that you need to pay attention to. This is the last slide. We done. Inversion. Inversion is where you take the back and put it forward. Okay? It's where you put the predicate or the verb first. It's like a short periodic sentence. So you know how in a periodic sentence you delay the end of the sentence forever? Inversion is just delaying it a little bit. Okay? Juxtaposition. Know that you need to know it. Don't worry, I have to teach a whole thing on that in January. Repetition. Whole thing on that in December. Rhetorical question. This one you should have already been taught. Okay? A rhetorical question is a question you ask and you don't actually expect an answer. Often, you provide an answer, or the answer is evident in your paper. Again, a rhetorical question is a question you ask, you don't expect an answer, you provide an answer, or the answer is evident in your paper. For example, who really wants me to slap them in the face right now? It's totally a rhetorical question. Except for him. It's totally a rhetorical question, okay? I'm not actually asking who wants to be slapped in the face. It's to make emphasis. No, I wouldn't ask. Okay? So it's made to make a point. It's to show emphasis. It's not literal. Very often, those of us who have good mothers have great experience with rhetorical questions. If you have a good mother, you have a good experience, you have an understanding of rhetorical questions. If you have a good father, sometimes a good aunt or uncle or older sibling, you also have experience with rhetorical questions. Why'd you go out there? What were you doing? What did you think was going to happen? There have been 4 questions. I'm not exactly sure which one you want me to answer. Sometimes it's, answer me. Well, why are you going to answer me? I'm talking. Oh, okay. Those are rhetorical questions. Okay? Parallel structure, don't worry. Whole thing on it in December. And then punctuation. Okay? We all know what punctuation is. We're going to have to learn to use it and have to learn to identify it, including dashes and hyphens. We've learned a little bit about semicolons. We're going to learn more, but all of that is syntax. The biggest thing to remember is the words don't matter in syntax. The words don't matter.